Welcome back to our general awareness course on the transportation of dangerous goods regulations. In this module, we will discuss a new entry in the transportation of dangerous goods field, site registration. As you can imagine, the transportation of dangerous goods is a vast activity. Goods are moving all over the place, and trying to ride herd over it all is Transport Canada. But until 2024, Transport Canada was hamstrung in its efforts by a lack of information. In essence, it had no objective data on what dangerous goods were being shipped where. That has now changed. In 2024, Transport Canada introduced into the Transportation of Dangerous Goods Regulations Part 17, Site Registration. The key to these efforts is the Client Identification Database, or CID. The CID allows you to submit basic information about your dangerous goods activities. Transport Canada uses the information to better assess risk, enhance overall safety measures, and facilitate effective communication between you and Transport Canada. So who must register? Generally, anyone who imports, offers for transport, handles, or transport dangerous goods in Canada must register. There are, however, several exemptions to registration. What are these exemptions? To start, we have the general exemptions from Part 1 Special Cases of the regulations. An example is Section 2.15, the Transportation Within a Facility exemption we discussed in Module 3. This says these regulations do not apply to dangerous goods that are transported solely within a manufacturing or processing facility. This broad exemption means you also need not comply with the site registration requirements. The second place where you find broad exemptions is in Schedule 2, the special provisions we discussed in Module 2. An example is Special Provision 18, which exempts solid carbon dioxide, better known as dry ice, from all parts of the regulations, except for Parts 1 and 2, which cover general rules and classification. Thus again, you do not have to comply with Part 17, Site Registration. So looking through these exemptions and special provisions, you can see whether or not your facility needs to register or not. In addition to those general exemptions, you do not have to register if you sell all dangerous goods at retail to the public, including gas stations and delivery services. Have only dangerous goods activities at oil well pads. Transport dangerous goods across the border, but you don't have headquarters or own or operate a site in Canada that is involved in dangerous goods activities. Or you transport all dangerous goods as they move through Canada on the way to or from a place outside Canada. This is the same case we discussed in an earlier module about dangerous goods being shipped from Washington State to Alaska through Canada. If you do not qualify for an exemption, since this is a site registration activity, it is important that we be clear on what a site is. A site is a permanent location, as opposed to a temporary stockpile, where dangerous goods are imported, offered for transport, handled, or transported, and are in the direct possession of a person conducting these activities. But the definition excludes a location where dangerous goods are used only in the scope of a person's work, such as bleach being used by a cleaning company, or the dangerous goods are being used to make products that you manufacture. In those cases, you need not register the site. As to what information you must submit, it is very basic. It includes your business number, the name and address of your headquarters, the phone numbers and email address of both a contact person and their replacement when absent, the addresses of all sites where dangerous goods are imported, offered for transport, handled, or transported, the mode of transport of dangerous goods used at each site, and for each site, the classes and divisions of dangerous goods that were imported, offered for transport, handled, or transported within the previous fiscal year, if any. Note that these are annual summaries. You do not notify Transport Canada of every dangerous goods shipment you make. You also only report the classes and divisions of dangerous goods. The site does not ask you how much of each class you transported. To keep the database current, you must renew your registration annually within 30 days of the anniversary date of your initial registration. Also, you must update your business information within 60 days after the day on which any change occurs. Both relatively logical requirements. To help organizations out with these new requirements, Transport Canada has created several support pages for the CID, including the Client Identification Database Initial Registration page, a CID FAQ page, a CID questionnaire about who should register, and a video tutorial. Links to all of these are in the participant guide. And that concludes our discussion of site registration and the material parts of the Transportation Dangerous Goods Regulations. I invite you now to move on to Module 9, where we will close the course and discuss the final quiz.